17,000%. That's how much Regencell Bioscience Limited has gone up since January 2025 to May 2026. Get one of those, of course, and you win the lottery. But the stock market is not a lottery. It is not a gamble. Are there any patterns we can see from just this limited data in terms of some of the companies and how well they've done? I'm Alpesh Patel. Have a look at alpeshpatel.com if you want to learn more about investing. Well, it's more about what it tells you shouldn't do than what you should do. First of all, just because they've gone up so much is not of itself a reason to buy more. But here's what's interesting. In 2022, when the stock market fell, most of these didn't actually fall that much. In the case of Celsuity Healthcare, it actually rose 71% during that period. The others fell far less than the market, suggesting some degree of resilience. Yes. The other factor is the vast majority of these are, of course, as you would expect, on NASDAQ. So the chances are, if you want a 10-bagger, something that goes up tenfold, you're looking at the NASDAQ, although there are a pretty good number on the London Stock Exchange as well. So the LSE does manage to hold its own. But here's the interesting thing. If you wanted the London Stock Exchange companies, you're really looking at basic materials. That's our strong point. Anyway, gold, is it likely to repeat itself? So history in that sense doesn't actually help you that much. What is interesting is that when you look at the pre-tax profits of these companies, very few are profitable. So again, if you're going for the extreme end of the market, and we're only looking at the best performers, sadly, the worst performers look similar in terms of pre-tax profits and market capitalization as well. But if you're looking at the ones which have a likelihood of going extremely high based on past performance, you'd really want the loss-making companies because your odds are better. Now, personally, I don't particularly like going into loss-making companies. A few other points I want to draw out for you. Healthcare, as you can see, is well represented. And that's because, a bit like the basic materials companies, you might strike gold. What's unusual is where you've got the odd consumer discretionary company. Now, that could well be because suddenly TikTok blew up on a product and the stock just went through the roof as a result. But overall, you probably don't want something which is in consumer discretionary, or indeed in any of the lesser represented sectors. So what do you want? Probably healthcare, basic materials, telecoms, NASDAQ company, loss-making. Now we're getting somewhere. We might be able to get something of a pattern. We're still speculating, however. And probably a company which in 2022 didn't drop more than, say, 15%. So less than the market drop. Now we're narrowing down. That whole process of thinking is a way in which hedge fund managers, for instance, will look for patterns and then look for correlations, look for causation thereafter. Sometimes the causation part's less important. We just don't know why certain things are working. But as long as they don't look completely random, like on a Tuesday afternoon between 1 and 2, stock goes up, and even then there could be a reason for it. We don't care. Now, there's a couple of these, and this is unusual, that I happen to have. So Micron and Seagate are both in my portfolio. The reason I say that's unusual is because out of 20,000 securities, to have had two in the top 32 statistically is improbable. So how did those come about into our portfolios? Well, it's because they're outliers in a very different way. First of all, they're outliers because they're incredibly profitable. We tend to invest in very profitable companies. That said, we didn't have BYD. Okay, largely because we don't tend to have European listed companies. So Seagate got in because value, growth, income, cash flow, all of those factors still put it in there. And as I said, they're unusual because, oh, I've also got Western Digital as well. That's also profitable. So those three, trying to think if there's any others. We don't have any of the others. TTM, I don't think so, but I might have covered before. Those are unusual in that they're profitable and manage to do that. That's not to say profitable companies are bad. Profitable companies are actually rather good, of course, because they give you more resilience on the whole. There's the list. We're not going to gamble on which of these are going to continue. Your bigger worry once they're in this list is, what do you do with the gains? What do you do with the outsized gains? And we've got a lot of clients with outsized gains. And whilst we give them the data, we also try and give them the knowledge and education of what to do. And there's several ways to handle that. First of all, you could just have a straight rebalancing once a year. So everything represents 5% of your portfolio once again, or 2.5% of your portfolio, depending on whether you've got 20 stocks or 40. You could say before the annual rebalancing, if anything exceeds more than 10%, you'll balance it back to 5, or just keep selling and trimming until you keep it at 10 each time. That just requires more commissions, more time consumption. Or if it drops X%, you'll sell Y%. And for X, you'll have different values, 5%, 10%, 15, 20, 30. And for Y, you'll have a corresponding number. It could be 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, based on your risk appetite. That's the regret minimization approach, which is more behavioral, whereas the more mathematical approach is simple rebalancing. But once you've got a simple rule like that, you can go out and enjoy the weather. If you've liked what you've seen and would like more of it, then have a look at the free resources on alpeshpatel.com. If you want to manage your own pension, because you can, and you can do it well, and you can do it for yourself without paying away fees to fund managers and wealth managers and the like, then have a look at alpeshpatel.com as well. Thank you.